There is a quiet deception happening right now, and it has been happening every single moment of your conscious life. You are not seeing the world as it is, you are seeing the world as it was. Every image that has ever formed inside your mind, every face you have recognized, every sunset you have watched dissolve into the horizon, every single visual experience you have ever had, arrived at your brain already old, already historical, already a relic of a moment that no longer exists. The present, that vivid and immediate sensation of now, is not a window, it is a painting. And the painter is physics itself. To understand why this is not poetic language but a hard physical reality, we need to start with something so fundamental that most people never stop to question it. Light is not instantaneous. When you switch on a lamp in a dark room, the light that fills that room does not arrive everywhere at once. It travels, it moves through space at a fixed and finite speed, approximately 299,792 kilometers every second. That number sounds enormous, and by the standards of human experience, it is. But by the standards of the universe, it is almost agonizingly slow, and that slowness, that finite ceiling on how fast information can travel, is the engine behind the illusion your brain calls the present moment. Consider the simplest possible case. You wake up in the morning and you walk to your bathroom mirror. You look at your reflection. What are you actually seeing? You are not seeing yourself as you are right now in this instant. The light reflected from your face had to travel outward, strike the glass surface of the mirror, reflect back, and then travel again to reach your eyes. That entire round trip takes time. It is an extraordinarily small amount of time. We are talking about somewhere in the range of a few nanoseconds, which is a few billionths of a second. But the physics is absolute. The face looking back at you from that mirror is a younger version of you. It is you from a moment in the past. The mirror is not showing you the present. It is showing you a historical document. The fact that this gap is too small for your biology to detect does not change the underlying physical truth. You are always looking into a past version of reality. Now push this idea outward. Sit across a table from another person and look at their face. Their image reaches your eyes because light reflected from the surface of their skin has traveled across the space between you. That distance is perhaps a meter, perhaps 2. At the speed of light, crossing 1 meter takes roughly 3 nanoseconds. So again, the face you are seeing is not the face as it exists in this moment. It is the face as it existed 3 nanoseconds ago. You are not sitting with them in a shared present. You are watching a delayed transmission of their past state. These delays seem trivially small, and for the purposes of ordinary human interaction, they are. But that is not the point. The point is that the mechanism is real, it is not an approximation, and it scales. It scales dramatically. Step outside on a clear night and look up at the moon. The light you are receiving from the lunar surface left that surface approximately 1.3 seconds ago. You are not seeing the moon as it is, you are seeing the moon as it was 1.3 seconds in the past. Look at the sun, and the light arriving at your eyes departed from the solar surface roughly 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. If the sun were to vanish completely and silently right now, you would not know. You would continue to see a sun that no longer existed for another 8 minutes and 20 seconds. You would be watching a ghost. And then turn your eyes to the stars. The nearest star to our own solar system, a small red dwarf called Proxima Centauri, is approximately 4.24 light-years away. The light arriving at your eyes from that star tonight is light that left its source over 4 years ago. You are not seeing that star as it exists in the present moment of the universe. You are seeing a 4-year-old photograph of it. Look further. The Andromeda Galaxy, that faint smear of light visible to the naked eye from dark skies, is approximately 2.5 million light-years from Earth. The light arriving at your eyes from that galaxy tonight departed from its source 2.5 million years ago. Homo sapiens as a species did not yet exist when that light began its journey toward your retina. You are receiving ancient mail. You are reading letters written before human language existed. But here is where the physics becomes genuinely strange and where we need to move beyond just the speed of light and into the deeper architecture of space-time itself. The reason light travels at this finite speed, and the reason nothing can travel faster, is not an engineering constraint. It is not a technological limitation waiting to be overcome. It is a fundamental feature of the geometry of the universe. To understand this, we need to think about space-time, not space and time as separate things, but as a single four-dimensional structure, the way the physicist Hermann Minkowski first described it in 1908. In Minkowski space-time, every event, every occurrence that happens at a specific location and a specific time occupies a fixed point in this four-dimensional geometry. Your birth was an event. The formation of the sun was an event. Every moment of your life, every photon of light you have ever seen was an event. And these events do not change. They do not move. They are permanent fixtures in the geometry of space-time. The past is not gone in the sense of having been erased. The past is geometrically fixed. It exists in the structure of space-time with the same immovable permanence as a point on a map exists in ordinary space. This is the idea physicists call the blockuniverse. The past, the present, and the future all exist with equal ontological status within the four-dimensional block. Time, in this framework, is not a river that flows. It is a dimension of a static geometry. What we call the passage of time is something like moving along a spatial axis. The past is not behind you. It is adjacent to you in the geometry. Now, within this block universe structure, the speed of light defines something called the light cone. Imagine an event, any event happening right now at your location in space-time. Draw a cone expanding outward from that event into the future, and draw another cone expanding backward into the past. The surface of these cones represents the path of light itself, the fastest possible carrier of information, traveling outward through space and forward through time. Everything inside the future cone can potentially be influenced by you. Everything inside the past cone can potentially have influenced you. Everything outside both cones is, in a deep physical sense, causally disconnected from your present event. Not merely difficult to reach, not merely far away, causally outside your world. This light cone structure is not a convenience. It is the foundation of causality itself. The reason cause must precede effect, the reason information cannot travel backwards in time, the reason no signal can move faster than light, all of this comes from the geometry of the light cone. And it means that what you are able to see right now is necessarily limited to what lies within your past light cone. Every photon that reaches your eyes has traveled along the surface or interior of that past cone. Every image you have ever perceived has come to you from somewhere in your past light cone. By definition, by pure geometry, you can only ever receive information from the past. Now layer onto this the relativity of simultaneity, which is one of the most disorienting results of Einstein's special theory of relativity. In ordinary Newtonian physics, there is a universal clock. Events that are simultaneous in one location are simultaneous everywhere. All observers agree on what is happening right now across the entire universe. Einstein destroyed this assumption completely. In relativity, simultaneity is not absolute. It is relative to the observer. Two events that are simultaneous for one observer moving at a particular velocity through space can be non-simultaneous for a different observer moving at a different velocity. Which events constitute your now depends on your state of motion. This is not a philosophical trick. It emerges directly from the mathematics of special relativity. If you are moving relative to me, you're sliced through the four-dimensional block universe. The three-dimensional surface you call the present moment is tilted relative to mine. Our nows are different. They are literally different cross-sections of the same four-dimensional geometry. The faster the relative velocity and the greater the distance, the more these present slices diverge. For someone moving at high velocity relative to you, their now, the moment they call the present, can correspond to your future or your past for events occurring in distant regions of space. The present moment is not a universal plane. It is a personal slice defined by your velocity, your position, your trajectory through space-time. There is no master clock in the cosmos ticking out a universal now for all observers simultaneously. The universe does not run on synchronized time. What this means for visual perception is profound. Every observer in the universe is receiving a slightly different delayed feed from a slightly different version of the past. Your present moment is assembled from light that has arrived at your specific location from countless different distances, each photon carrying information from a different point in the past. The photons from the person sitting across from you departed 3 nanoseconds ago. The photons from a skyscraper outside your window departed a few microseconds ago. The photons from the moon departed 1.3 seconds ago. And yet your visual cortex assembles all of these temporally displaced signals into a single coherent image and labels it the present. You are not experiencing the present. You are experiencing a composite constructed from historical fragments of varying age. Your visual field is a temporal mosaic, and this is where neuroscience joins the physics to make the situation even more extraordinary. Even if light were instantaneous, which it is not, your brain would still be perceiving the past. The signal pathway from your retina to your visual cortex takes additional time. Light strikes the photoreceptors in your eye, triggering an electrochemical signal that travels along the optic nerve to the lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus and then to the primary visual cortex at the back of the brain. This entire neural journey takes somewhere between 80 and 120 milliseconds, nearly a tenth of a second. Whatever is happening in the world right now, you will not consciously perceive it until roughly a tenth of a second has passed. You are living in a neurological delay. The conscious experience you are having right now is a description of a world that existed 1/10 of a second ago. But the brain does something even more remarkable than simply relaying the delayed signal. It predicts, it interpolates. It constructs a model of the world and then continuously updates that model using incoming sensory data as reference points, not as raw reality. Your brain is running a sophisticated simulation of the external world, using delayed and imprecise sensory data to calibrate a model, and then presenting that model to your conscious awareness as if it were direct contact with reality. The philosopher of mind would call this a representational theory of perception. The physicist would call it something more unsettling. Your conscious experience is not the universe. It is a map built from old light. Think about what this means when you extend the timescales. When astronomers point their instruments at the most distant objects in the observable universe, they are not seeing the universe as it is today. They are seeing the universe as it was billions of years ago, when the universe was younger, when its structure was different, when galaxies were still forming. The most distant light we have ever detected, the cosmic microwave background radiation, is photons that have been traveling since the universe was approximately 380,000 years old. We are receiving a message from the early cosmos, light that has been traveling for nearly 13.8 billion years before arriving at our instruments. We are not observing the universe. We are conducting an archaeology of light, and here is perhaps the most philosophically compelling consequence of all this physics. If the block universe model is correct, and it is the framework that emerges most naturally from both special and general relativity, then the past is not gone. The past is not nothing. The light that left the surface of Andromeda 2.5 million years ago is not a memory of something that no longer exists. That emission event is a permanent fixture in the four-dimensional geometry of spacetime. It happened. It is encoded in the structure of the universe at a specific set of spacetime coordinates. Nothing can undo it. Nothing can reach back and erase it. The geometry is fixed. Every moment you have ever lived is similarly fixed in that geometry. Every conversation, every experience, every instance of light arriving at your eyes from across the room or across the cosmos, each of these events occupies an immovable point in the block universe. The flowing sensation of time, the feeling that the present is special, that it is real in a way the past is not, is a feature of consciousness navigating through this static geometry, not a feature of the geometry itself. The river of time is an experience. The riverbed is permanent. So when you open your eyes in the morning and look at the world, understand what you are actually doing. You are receiving transmissions from the past. You are an archaeologist of light, collecting ancient photons that carry information from events that have already been sealed permanently into the geometry of space-time. The person across the room, the tree outside your window, the moon in the night sky, the smear of light from a galaxy 2.5 million light years away, these are not views of the present. They are delayed communiques from a universe that is always already behind you. Your brain performs a staggering feat of reconstruction, assembling all these temporal fragments into the seamless illusion of now, and doing it so convincingly that almost no one ever questions it. But the physics does not care whether we question it. The speed of light is invariant. Simultaneity is relative. The light cone is the boundary of causality. The block universe is the geometry within which all of this plays out. These are not hypotheses subject to revision by intuition. They are among the most precisely tested facts in the history of science, and they all point to the same conclusion. The present moment as you experience it is a biological reconstruction of a physical past. You are not seeing the world. You are receiving its history, arriving one photon at a time, at the speed of light, from every direction at once, and your brain is performing a silent and invisible act of temporal theater, convincing you that all of this ancient light is something called now.